in a bid to further slow the spread of COVID-19. Plus, last night, the process of moving sailors from the USS Teddy Roosevelt began, and the commanding officer of the ship has been relieved of his command.
Half a day and good evening, everyone. I'm Adriana Cotero. Before we get to the latest on efforts with containing COVID, a message from one of our frontline heroes from the Guam Fire Department.
Half a day. My name is Brian Torres of the Guam Fire Department, reminding you to stay safe by staying home.
We can't express enough gratitude to all our frontline heroes. Thank you for holding things down for everyone on Guam. Enhanced social distancing measures will go into effect on Tuesday in a bid to further slow the spread of COVID-19. The governor held a detailed briefing today to share some sobering data about what could happen if we don't comply with the recommendations to prevent the disease.
Governor Leon Guerrero warned ahead of time that the numbers would be disturbing. Dr. Felix Cabrera of her Physicians Advisory Group presented the predictive model that shows the death toll from the virus could surpass the casualties from the bloody battle for Guam in World War II. One chart showed that had the administration done nothing since the crisis first broke out, within 5 months there would have been 20,000 dead. It also showed if the current spread is reduced by 50%, there would still be 700 deaths.
I know that many of you might be frightened by what you have heard today, but that fear must give way to action. Each of us has the power to save lives and make this model wrong. We have two choices. We can act now and flatten the curve, or these predictions will become our reality.
The governor says she will release the full details of her enhanced social distancing plan before next Tuesday's start date. It will include tighter restrictions on travel and manned checkpoints.
They'll be finding out what your business is on the road, and that's why we're trying to figure out how that would best be clear to the individual, to either the National Guard or the police officer that would be doing the checkpoint.
She says they're also deciding what the sanctions will be for those who don't comply with the order, which will also include prohibition on all social gatherings. But the bottom line in preventing the spread is to do what the experts have been saying all along.
The more we are compliant, the more that we stay home, the more that we do measures to prevent transmission, the more that we protect the arm and umku, the more that we make sure that we're not traveling if we don't have to travel out there. All these are very simple measures. They don't cost anything. They don't require anything. The only requirement is commitment, persistence, vigilance, and compliance.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor LaConta.
The president of the Guam Medical Association, Dr. Hao Win, also spoke during today's press conference urging island residents to shelter in place, wear masks in public, and wash your hands. During a Pentagon press conference, Acting Secretary of the Navy, Thomas Modly, mentioned that the 93 confirmed infections of the Theodore Roosevelt sailors has risen, and he's expecting a further surge.
The reality of what's happening on the ship right now is we have about 114 sailors who have tested positive. I can tell you with great certainty there's going to be more. They'll probably be in the hundreds. Of the 114 sailors, not a single one of them has been hospitalized or has had the requirement to be hospitalized. They're all, the ones that are sick are exhibiting mild or moderate flu symptoms. Some of them are exhibiting no symptoms, and some of them have already recovered.
The move of sailors from the USS Theodore Roosevelt into hotels in Tumon began last night. The transport of negative COVID sailors is a result of several days of negotiations between the government of Guam, the military, and the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. Sabrina Salas-Montanani with the latest on this massive operation led by the Department of Defense.
According to Joint Region Marianas Commander Rear Admiral John Manoni, the first group of almost 200 sailors aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt have already been transported to their quarantine hotel in Tumon, with another wave set to embark off the ship.
We are targeting being able to move another 300 to 400 sailors within the next 12 to 24 hours.
Only sailors that test negative for COVID-19 will be shuttled and lodged in designated quarantine hotels along Tumon Row. According to GHRA President Mary Rhodes, all mitigation efforts were negotiated over the last several days for the quarantining of up to 3,500 sailors.
This has been a really big operation to get to our 3,500 number.
A number that also required the transition of guests out of DoD contracted quarantine hotels into other accommodations. Rhodes adds that the quarantine hotels, an estimated 8 total, will be stood up and manned primarily by military personnel with strict rules that each sailor be confined to their rooms.
They have pulled resources from within the fence of different military branches and agencies to even outside the fence with Guam Army National Guard. And so we have whole teams of 30 up to possibly even 50 teams per hotel that would be assigned. And that's for the minimum 24-hour daily. So that's not even relief teams. And so that would be the teams that would be assigned to provide different kinds of services.
This includes security, enforcement of the hotel perimeter, floor monitoring, and food delivery. Each room also will be pre-staged with a case of water and linens to eliminate the need for housekeeping services.
They are not given even key cards. They are not to leave the room. If they were to leave the room, it's already notified through monitoring of the floor monitors with enforcement, and they are subject to penalties.
Additionally, the COVID-negative sailors will also be subject to daily medical evaluations.
To make doubly sure that we're doing everything in our power to protect our military civilian team here on Guam, to not contribute to the spread of COVID-19, and to preserve the warfighting readiness of our force.
As for whether there are plans for a designated isolation facility off base for sailors who test COVID positive, Rhodes says absolutely not.
Everything will be staying inside the fence. They've already taken over buildings and have started addressing those concerns within their facilities.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Sabrina Salas, Matsinani.
The commanding officer of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, Captain Brett Crozier, has been relieved of his command. The announcement was made in a press conference this morning by Acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly.
This decision is not one of retribution. It is about confidence. It is not an indictment of character, but rather of judgment. While I do take issue with the validity of some of the points in Captain Crozier's letter, he was absolutely correct in raising them.
But the issue, says Secretary Modly, is the way the captain did it. Crozier had written a memo pleading for help because of the fast-spreading virus on his ship, which eventually leaked out to the media.
What he did by doing this and not being careful with who that information went to, and you're right, it did go to the task group commander, to Admiral Aquilino, to the air boss, but it was copied to 20 or 30 other people. Okay, that's just not acceptable.
The situation as outlined by the captain was first reported by the San Francisco Chronicle, Crozier's hometown newspaper. Secretary Modly stopped short of saying Crozier was the source of the leak, but did hold him responsible for poor judgment.
It's created a firestorm. It's created doubts about the ship's ability to go to sea if it needs to. It's created doubt among the families about the health of their sailors, and that was a completely unnecessary thing to do in the midst of a crisis. Now, granted, they don't train for this, but we expect more from our COs than what they train for. We expect them to exercise good judgment that does not put their crews in jeopardy, does not jeopardize the national security mission of the United States.
Rear Admiral Carlos Sardiello, the former commanding officer of the Teddy Roosevelt, is headed to Guam to assume command of the ship. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Senator Therese Terlahi is pushing for the early release of tax refunds to help those affected by the COVID crisis. Since session has been indefinitely postponed by Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes, senators cannot find ways to offer local assistance to people who are struggling because of COVID-related closures. The governor and Barnes have both said residents will have to wait for federal assistance, which by all accounts is weeks away.
The tax refunds report is very clear that they have already processed, awaiting payment, 4,398 tax refunds. So, of course, my theory is if that's something that doesn't even need any more work. It just needs, to cut the checks and pay. And that would help, I think, a lot of people. 4,000 people, that's quite a bit.
Revenue Tax Director Daphne Shamuzi, when asked on containing COVID, said GovGuam continues to meet its court-ordered 6 months from filing taxes refund payout deadline, but Terlahi said the COVID crisis demands that we find ways to get money into our people's hands as quickly as we can.
don't worry, we're going to pay all the refunds within 6 months. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate that they've been consistent in paying. But what I'm asking is that this is a very different circumstance. And 6 months is just not sufficient. It's not conscionable anymore. If we can do better, we should do better. And this is one way that we can do better.
Senator Terlahi is asking for the release of all 2018 and 2019 refunds. The administration is currently paying our refunds from October of last year. And one of our island's organizations that helps those in need is now in need of help. Catholic Social Services is seeking donations for its food bank. As CSS's Lisa Bordalio said, for island residents affected by the COVID-19 crisis, the need for food has been greater, and she only anticipates that even more people will need more help soon.
We are helping a lot more people than usual. So we imagine that our supplies are going to go through really quickly. So we're asking the public to donate, but since we are social distancing, we've made it easy for them to go ahead and help us to purchase the food. You can go and click donate now, and it takes you to PayPal, which you can pay with your PayPal or a debit or credit card. We're specifically asking, for help to purchase food in this crisis.
The website is CatholicSocialServiceGuam.org. Bordalio tells KUAM CSS has seen an increase in calls for food assistance, and she says with increased social isolation measures implemented to combat COVID-19.
People are just in need, and everybody's home, and the kids are home, and they're going through their food really fast, and so they need some help.
Bordalio said cash donations can be accepted and arranged by calling 635-1442. And despite not attending classes on campus due to the lockdown, Harvest Christian Academy students will still receive a full report card by the end of the year. As grade-level principals and the administrator Jeremy Zacek launched a virtual campus with all online classes on March 27th. The academy heads tell KUAM that once Governor Lou Leon Guerrero issued the first guidance to shut down, they instantly worked to create an online curriculum.
We know that education is important, so immediately we began just planning what does this look like for our customers, and we're still in the learning process. We're not experts at it, but we're doing the very best we can and trying to connect with our parents and continue that education, that trajectory of learning for the kids, and ultimately help them complete the year so that next year they can move on to the next grade level.
There are about 1,000 students that attend Harvest, and each has received their own online login and usernames and passwords. The coursework varies for each grade level, with all kindergarten through high school students still being graded for their schoolwork. As for graduation, high school principal Lawrence Negengas says there are no set plans in place just yet, but has these words of encouragement to offer to the senior class.
Think about this as you are the unique class that is going to have something very special or very unique, however we end up doing it, that nobody else hopefully will ever have to have. So I know it can be negative, but if they think about the positive of it being like nobody else's.
For more information on the online curriculum, you can visit their website at hcaguam.org, and you can view KUAM's interview with Harvest Christian Academy streaming live on our Facebook and YouTube page. Stick around for more news here on Prime Time.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Ruby Tuesday Guam is still preparing the dishes you love for either curbside carryout or delivery. Call them at 647-7828 or 647-7829 for curbside carryout service with a smile. For delivery, download the free Grab and Grub app and follow the instructions to get Ruby Tuesdays delivered to your door. Stay safe and healthy, Guam.
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
When we face an uncertain path, when we struggle with life's challenges, and when the unexpected happens, it's a beautiful day. We rely on the people we trust, it's a beautiful, who we can always count on, and the ones who give us the most care throughout the years. Rely on Calvo's Select Care to give you the comfort and security you need wherever you are. Calvo's Select Care, healthcare that's always there for you.
It's a special delivery to your inbox every week with your KUAM News Roundup, program advisories, and promotions. Sign up for the weekly KUAM Digital Digest today on KUAM.com.
This afternoon, the units from the Guam Fire Department were busy with a pair of structure fires, according to GFD spokesperson Kevin Riley. There was one in Estambo by Chalan Hilatai and one on Chalan Amantes. Both were wood and tin structures. Occupants were safely evacuated and there were no injuries. 19-year-old Mac Talvo Flores was arrested and charged with third-degree criminal sexual conduct after a teenage minor accused him of sexually assaulting her. According to court documents, the teen told police she was asleep on March 30th when Flores began to touch her. The victim pretended she was asleep and Flores re-entered the room and then allegedly sexually assaulted. Court documents state Flores told police he knew what he was doing was wrong. And Guam Port Authority police and the Guam Police Department are seeking the community's help to make an arrest on a robbery that occurred outside of the day-by-day market in PD. Yesterday morning between 7 to 8 a.m., Port Police responded to the incident. According to Port Authority of Guam General Manager Roy Respicio, a woman's purse was snatched as she was putting groceries in her car. Video surveillance footage shows a white car reversing into the parking spot next to the woman's car. A man gets out, then grabs the bag and drives away. Respicio tells KUAM they are working closely with GPD on the investigation, and if anyone has any information, to contact Guam Crime Stoppers 24-hour hotline at 477-HELP or submit an anonymous tip online at guamcrimestoppersweb.org. The Guam Department of Education's Grab and Go meal program has increased their demand as they have reached 12,000 for both breakfast and lunch meals distributed every day. To meet the demand, the department has opened up a 12th location in the north of the island at Maria Ujoya Elementary School, according to GDOE spokeswoman Isa Baza. While distribution is scheduled from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. daily, several of the sites have finished early this week. In total, GDOE has distributed roughly 170,000 meals in total. Baza assures that GDOE will be able to continue with the program throughout the school closure. KUAM further asked for an update on the decision of ending the school year early, and Baza said the board plans to meet on Wednesday, April 8th at 3 p.m. to discuss how to move forward. As a small token of appreciation and support and in order to spread the spirit of positivity and hope, KFC has donated meals to the frontliners of Guam Regional Medical City. According to KFC Guam General Manager and Vice President Frank Cruz, while we are facing times of uncertainty as a community, KFC remains steadfast for our frontliners who protect our community. KFC stands with the hero frontliners who are brave each day to beat COVID-19. KFC Guam also actively gives back to the community through deeds like this and through other charity programs on the island. On Tuesday, April 7th at 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., a dozen agencies and individuals, including SBA, SBDC, and others, will come together to provide information to small businesses and nonprofits in Hawaii and the Pacific Islands. The upcoming Small Business Virtual Town Hall meeting will provide current information and resources to businesses and nonprofits on the changing business and economic landscape due to COVID-19. Registration is free, but space is limited. Go to smallbizvirtualtownhall.edu. Dave Delgado is coming up with sports. Keep it here.